Distinguished participants, panelists, and all stakeholders to this NNGS third series webinar. I greet you all. I am the president, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, Engineer O.S. Nkom, and I welcome you to this third series. Most importantly, having gone through all recent activities, I believe that we are all staying safe and we'll be able to now go through these difficult times and to be able to now practice our profession greatly. Without wasting much time, you are aware that we've been able to now have first series, which was actually anchored and presented by none other but Professor Ngsa, past president of this noble society. Second series was equally presented by my dear self. And the essence of this is to be able to now continue to keep our members active, to be able to now contribute, see how we are going to drive the economy and practice our profession. It is on that note, on this most important day, that we have the third series of webinar, which is titled Advancing the Diversification of the Nigerian Economy through Geoscience Data, the role of the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency. To do justice to that is none other but fellow of the Society, Geological Society of London, a fellow of this esteemed society, a professional who has worked extensively with competent persons. He has had vast experiences, an erudite geologist with vast experience in economic geology, exploration, geological mapping, just to name a few. And presently the president of the Nigerian Society of Economic Geologists. We are talking about none other but the Director General of the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, the person of Dr. Abdulrazak Garba, who is going to do justice to that presentation. I want to welcome you, Dr. Abdulrazak Garba, Director General of the Nigerian Geological Survey.
For the opportunity to present the efforts of Nigerian Geological Survey in helping the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria to diversify its economy through mining. Nigerian Geological Survey has been and is still consistently providing geoscience information for the development of the mining sector. So on this note, Mr. President, ESCOs, members of ESCO, members of the NMGS, stakeholders, I want to thank you for this opportunity to listen to me. My presentation today, as it is titled, is Advancing the Diversification of Nigerian Economy through Geoscience Data Generation, the role of Nigerian Geological Survey Agency. My presentation highlights will be in two parts. The first part, we go through the history of geological survey, our mandate, vision, mission, structure, recent activities that we have been doing. Then the second part will go to the much talked about NIMEP project, that is National Integrated Mineral Exploration Project, which Nigerian Geological Survey designed and is driving. You will all agree with me that the world, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, has been facing some recession. Nigeria, being a mono-economic nation that depends on oil, with the advent of COVID, it became imperative that we have to look for another source of income for the country. And apart from agriculture, the solid mineral sector is the next viable or the viable option available to the country. We are also aware that Nigeria, as geoscientists, have a significant number of mineral occurrences, mineral deposits in the country, which has not been fully tapped. So in this direction, the Nigerian Geological Survey has been carrying out quite a number of investigations to provide information for investors. Let me quickly go through the history of Nigerian Geological Survey for assurance and for people who don't understand how Nigerian Geological Survey came into being. Of southern Nigeria and northern Nigeria between 1903 and 1904. By 1990, the Nigerian Geological Survey was established. So what this means is that last year, 2019, Nigerian Geological Survey was 100 years old. By 1960, as at that point in time, the Nigerian Geological Survey has an autonomy whereby even the director sits in parliament to discuss issues on mineral resources in Nigeria. By 1960, the autonomy of Nigerian Geological Survey was withdrawn. And by the year 2000, the Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of Nigerian Geological Survey as an agency. Hitherto, we have been a department on several ministries: Ministry of Mines, Powers and Steel, Ministry of Power and Steel, Ministry of Solid Mineral, and so Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and so forth, and so forth. By 2000, the Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of Nigerian Geological Survey Agency as a parastatal under the Ministry of Solid Mineral Development in July. And by 2006, the Act establishing the agency was passed by the National Parliament, and the Director General continued his term. Our mandate straddles so many aspects of geosciences: detailed geological investigation, analysis, core drilling, production of geological, geophysical, geochemical data. We also serve as national repository of all geoscience data, including the marine, environment, and geomagnetic space. We carry out integrated collection of and dissemination of information, geochemistry, geophysics, and so on and so forth. We also study subsurface, subsurface, land, through drilling, through trenching, and so many aspects of geoscience to generate geoscience work. And we carry out geoscientific research also. Our mission is to evolve as an open, transparent, and flexible organization that will provide geoscience information and knowledge for work creation and national development. Our mission is also to emerge as ultimate referral point for geoscience information and knowledge using highly qualified and skilled professionals with cutting-edge technology and in collaboration with necessary stakeholders, and that is why we are here. I also want to mention something about the structure of Nigerian Geological Survey, because the structure of Nigerian Geological Survey keeps changing with the demand in the industry or our stakeholders, so as to be able to meet up with the demands and also provide the necessary information in line with our mandate, mainly to provide geoscience information for public good. Currently, we have 4 technical departments and 1 administrative. These are mainly regional geology, economic geology, applied and engineering geology, geoscience planning, and ICT, then a common service department, admin, and finance. Currently, our staff strength is about 580, which consists of about 309 technical staff and 271 non-technical staff. We have offices in about 27 states. Out of this, we have 6 zonal offices, which are located in Benin, Enugu, Ibadan, Jos, Maiduguri, and Sokoto. We have also national research centers. These are centers of excellence. In Kaduna, we have National Geoscience Research Laboratory. In Yenagoa, we have National Center for Marine Geosciences. That's in Bayelsa. Then in Oka, we have National Geohazard Monitoring Center. And in Abuja, hosted in the headquarters here, we have National Geoscience Information Center. The functions of the department are quickly stated here. That is the research and planning, which deals with planning, ICT, bilateral relation and multilateral relations. We have economic geology, which deals with mineral exploration, mineral evaluation, geochemistry, and promotion. We have applied and engineering geology department that deals with applied geophysics, engineering, mobile geology, hydrogeology, environmental geology, mathematical geology, geostatistics. Then we have regional geology that handles igneous and metamorphic, sedimentology, structural geology, geomatics, geospatial information. Then we have applied, admin and finance, which deals with admin, accounts, finance, human resources development. The NGIC, the centers too have their function, as NGIC is the National Depository of all Geoscience Information. National Center for Marine Geosciences, as the name states, deals with geoscience information generation and dissemination on the coastal and offshore environment. The National Geohazard Monitoring deals generally with geohazard, and the NGRL in Kaduna deals with the laboratory, the chemical analysis. Now, I want to quickly go through some of the activities in terms of the mandates of Nigerian Geological Survey. Which involves, for example, some of the few of the investigations or assessments we have carried out, gold in Shea, Niger State. This is a follow-up to geochemical mapping we carried out with the BGS, where within an area of about 8 by 3 kilometers, we find soil concentration of gold between 0.1 and 1 gram per ton. We have worked in Kafinkuro, also in Niger State, where we have thick lateritic profile of over 15 meters thick, which some of the artisanals have started working on. And the gold concentration there from analysis we discover is about between 1 and 1.5 grams per ton. We did assessment of lead zinc mineralization in Ebonyi State. The project essentially is to provide, because we did beneficiation test, to provide information for mines inspectorate department so that they'll be able to value the minerals. A lot of people come and say, okay, I took this mineral from here, it is essentially lead. But in our investigation, we discovered that we have up to 140 grams per ton silver content in some of these. What this means is that most of these mineralizations are being undervalued and denying the federal government the necessary incomes that is supposed to come from it. That's We have also carried out investigation on tin and REEs in Nasarawa State. What this shows is this, that the concentrate, the pan concentrate, when we analyze it, we discovered that we have up to 18% total rare earth content. This is extremely high. And what this shows is that we have potentials for REEs in our headquarters we have in Nigeria. In Gogolada environments, we have worked on gold and we have greater than 20 grams per ton in soil, I mean in the veins, and maybe within the soils, we have 1.5 to 2 grams per ton. Graphite is one of the important minerals of the future. We have worked on graphite in the Ningwari area of Kaduna State, and we have the total graphitic content of 3.5. This is significant and okay for investment. And ground geophysics in that area suggests that the extension of the vein hosting the mineralization extends beyond 35 meters. What this suggests is that we need to move on to do drilling, but we could not do that at this moment because of the insecurity situation we have there. We have also worked on graphite in Warji area of Bauchi. Kaolin, on the industrial minerals part, to encourage local development of raw materials for industry locally and substitute for import in line with the roadmap of the ministry. We have done some investigation on Ekiti Kaolin and Kwara Kaolin. In the Ekiti, we discovered that the size of, because we did some drilling there, the size of the Kaolin there is not quite significant. And in the Kera area where we have significant kaolin, but the area is built up. In Kwara, of course, the kaolin is significant. That's in Dabalodo area of Share area. And we have tested some of these and do some beneficiations tests in the NNDC in Jos and also in ENGC in Tanzania. And what this suggests is that most of these kaolin mineralization we have in the country are suitable for all the necessary downstream industries such as paint, pharmaceuticals, and chemicals. Even in the tire industry also, or plastic industry, it is useful. On this slide, I have the details of the REE investigation in Nasarawa State. That is something you can see. We have up to 49.9% tin content or cassiterite content, and 18% total rare earths. The NGSA also carried out investigation on carbonate rocks in Nigeria, which includes marble, limestone, magnesite. And our investigation found out that hitherto we have the belief that the total resource size of limestone in Nigeria is about 4 billion tons, but from this investigation we have it in excess of 10 billion tons. And then the resource size of the marble is about 4 billion tons or greater than 4 billion tons. As a consequence of that investigation, the NGSA developed what we call an interactive map, which we have on our website. And this map, you can click on whether you want to have a background of administrative regions we have in the country or the geological setting of Nigeria as the background. But one significant aspect of this map, of this interactive map, is that you can query it, any location you have information or the location. Once you click on it, it will show an image of activity or some significant portion of the mineralization you have there, and some data. That is in terms of resource size calculated at that point in time, and also the average chemical composition in that area. We also have other maps that shows, or thematic maps that shows distribution or statistics of the mineralization in terms of chemical composition based on state, location, local government, and so on and so forth. The NGSA also carried out investigation in support of food security in Nigeria on phosphate in Sokoto. We were to continue in Ogun State, but unfortunately, because of the high water table, we could not continue. The pitting and drilling exercise will not continue, so we are looking forward to commence that in the near future. And on this project, we carried out over 1,300 meters of reverse circulation, and we were able to complete over 2 billion tons of phosphatic nodules, with average composition going between 29 and 33%. The project, we engaged a competent person to drive it, and a small feasibility was carried out over some area. What we discover in this area is that the total surface area of this phosphatic nodule is about 30,000 square kilometer, with 3,000 square kilometer of this area on the near surface. And contrary to the previous belief that the average dip there is about 12 or 15 degrees to the east, to the west, we discovered that it's between less than 1 or between 1 and less than 1 degrees. And the thickness of the phosphate-bearing layer is between 1 to 4 meters wide. Also, in the investigation for big-time mining companies to take over to look at the feasibility of them mining there, because they are going to engage in mining, professional mining, that is technical using equipment. We try to evaluate the thickness, that is the average concentration. And unfortunately, so far for the areas we have investigated, we find out that the phosphatic, the P2O5 or phosphate pentaoxide contact is about between about 75 meters, but currently we have information and logs for up to 120 meters. We hope to do more very soon. Also, in our investigation for industrial minerals, we carried out investigation on brine resources in Nigeria, and I have a poster here, which shows what we did, and then the brine extracts we took from lower Benue Trough, middle Benue Trough, and upper Benue Trough, which after beneficiation of a liter of the brine, we got 181 gram per ton, 181 gram salt from 1 liter in the lower Benue, then 135 grams from 1 liter in middle Benue Trough, and 81 grams in the upper Benue Trough. Essentially, when we did XRD studies, that is this data set you can see here, we discovered that the salt, the evaporated salt shows that lower Benue Trough and middle Benue Trough is dominated by sodium chloride, while in the upper Benue is dominated by trona. And this investigation also shows that there is an increase in salt recovery from upper Benue Trough to lower Benue Trough. NGSA also, as part of its activity in the last 1 year, we carried out investigation on the geochronology and age dating. This essentially is to have empirical data to support most of the information we have. We are in this project together with the John D. Later Center of Curtin University in Western Australia, and we have just received the results of the first stage, which is essentially petrography. On this part, you can see the workflow in the laboratory, and then the 9 samples we have sent. We have about 35 samples, but we have sent 10, out of which 1 was discounted, and 9 has been investigated for petrography. Then the zircon has been isolated from the sample. The petrography, you can see what is being shown here. It was carried out using a Tesco integrated mineral analyzer, and it's bringing out some information. We hope to share some of this information as the results come out in form of publication. NGSA is not stagnant. We have, or the government, the present day government has invested so much on infrastructure development and also capacity building to support the sector. And credit goes to President Muhammadu Buhari, because it has never been so, in recent times, the attention given to generation of geoscience data has never been so good. NGSA hitherto have analytical services, which includes we do sample preparation, chemical analysis for mineral ores, water, soil, and rock. We have AAS, XRD, and XRF. I think our XRD is one of the best we have in the west coast of Africa. We have, in order to meet up with the challenges of the industry, and also to make sure, because any nation that wants to develop its mining industry must have a credible laboratory to facilitate analysis of its samples. Currently, we have a lot of capital flight outside the country. And this is not because NGSA cannot do it, but the fact is that we don't have the necessary equipment. You will agree with me that for the mining industry, the first stage is you need an RCP-based analytical equipment. We don't have that in NGSA, but we are working towards that. So the first step is with the support of the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, we have to build a new laboratory in Kaduna, which we are intending to commission. This new laboratory, we call it the new fire assay laboratory, because the laboratory is to house the newly acquired fire assay equipment. And also, in addition to this, we acquired what we call carbon and sulfur analyzer. Essentially, the equipment, the fire assay equipment, will be the first in Nigeria and the third in West Africa. And we believe it will revolutionize the mining sector, especially in the analysis of silver, copper, lead, and gold in gold ores, because that is the in thing in the country. Also, this will at least decrease the capital flight, that is movement of samples abroad to laboratories abroad for analysis. The carbon and sulfur analyzer is essentially intended to carry out carbon and sulfur analysis on organic and inorganic stock substances. As part of development of infrastructure, we have embarked on procurement or acquisition of on-the-spot analytical equipment, because we need this to change the cost of our exploration and make determination as fast as possible. The NGSA is having a spectroradiometer, probably one of the best in West Coast, also West African coast. We are using that for spectral mapping and core sample mineral mapping, and we have utilized it in evaluation assessment of some gold-bearing areas and tin-bearing areas. The maps are ready, and you see them maybe on our website. We are also using that equipment to develop what we call a spectral library of all the core samples we are having, so that at the end of the day, we have domiciled in NGSA information about the spectral parameters of some of the alteration zones we have associated with mineralization in Nigeria. NGSA has also embarked on acquisition of handheld XRF. It is our plan that each of the zonal offices, hopefully before the end of the year, we have one of these XRF equipment, so that we will take the analysis to the doorsteps of the miners. What this means is that we intend at our mineral promotion day, that is what we call NGSA days on programs and so on and so forth. We have the XRF analyzer to help these miners, other small scale miners, to analyze their samples and get information they need to take decision on whatever they are doing. Also, we have what we call equipment, which we want to, because we are trying to develop the NGSA consultancy service so that we increase our IGR also. The MINDAVA is proposing or working on procuring an ICP-based equipment for NGSA, and everything is in top gear. We also intend to get a drone to carry out our exploration activity and generate geoscience data, which allows us to work in inaccessible terrains. We have a couple of geophysical equipment around, which for people who are into consultancy can consult NGSA, and then we do, because we have the capacity for this. Quite a number of us have been hearing about earthquake. Also, NGSA has invested quite some time in developing its capacity, and also in acquisition of equipment. Recently, we acquired what we call 4 units of Garba seismograph. And this is to complement and also replace some of the older seismographs, that's Vox meter, which is not meeting our requirement as a professional organization. The 4 new ones will replace the one in Utako, in Kaduna, and in Kefi. Then the 4th one is in Kaduna. 3 of these have been installed and they are working perfectly now, and they can monitor all seismic events in the country. Now, the advantage of this Garba series is that once it is installed, automatically we are logged into international network, and then we contribute information. Another advantage of this Garba series is that the managers of diagnostic, you can manipulate and work on it on your phone. So you don't have to come to the seismograph station to monitor it. If you are in Abuja, you can monitor the one in Kefi. In 2019, on infrastructure also, 2 new rigs were procured, that is track-mounted diamond drilling rigs with the capacity to drill up to 1,500 meters. NGSA also took possession of a new one, that is the truck-mounted. That is for us, we want to be able to work in any terrain. And also we have a load bed and all the necessary apparaturances to assist in working as an NGSA consult. And we hope that in the shortest time, we will have increased our IGR. Museum, as we all know, are collections of great national assets and contributes to culture, research, scientific education, and public engagement or enlightenment. NGSA has a very, very interesting museum at the headquarters and in Kaduna. The one at the headquarters was commissioned by the Honorable Minister recently, and it has been functioning. Geodata Center. The NGSA Geodata Center is being modernized and reformed, and this is in conjunction with the World Bank Mindava project and the BGS. The center will host, or is expected to host, 100 years of national geoscience data or geoscience knowledge and data generated by Nigerian Geological Survey. Of this, we have about 2 terabyte volume of data here in the UK, that is the BGS. And this will be transferred to NGSA Geodata Center. The import of this is that most of our information will be in digital format by the end of this year. And what this means is ease of accessibility. You will agree with me that investors and mining companies are interested in, not in completed data, but they are interested in data set available layers of information in digital format so that they can manipulate it, and NGSA is hoping to do that. The headquarters will host the main server, while NGRL, we have a server there, and National Steel Raw Material Exploration Agency. So what you can see that all the information in all the parastatals that has to do with geoscience data generation in the ministry will be harmonized together, and then you can have control. Some of the information to avoid loss will be hosted in the cloud, and all the necessary security measures are being taken to make sure that this is actualized. Capacity development, you agree with me also that there is no nation or any organization you need to continuously build the capacity of your people. This is very, very important, so that science is not stagnant, and geoscience data or development is not stagnant. We have embarked on the capacity building in different aspects of geoscience. For example, we take 20 geologists who were trained by a China Geological Survey and geochemical mapping. Apart from the one we had with the BGS, 18 personnel trained on ICT by the BGS and also China Geological Survey. We have GeoCloud management in preparation for our Geodata Center. The China Geological Survey has trained 20 of our staff, and they are fully prepared to take over the Geodata Center as soon as it's completed for the end of this year. We have also have some of our staff benefiting from several awards outside the country, like the Australia Award. 12 of our staff, mostly females, have benefited from this. We have also attendance of Panel Geo training courses by 25 geoscientists. And On the NIME project itself, we have over 90 of our staff were embedded to have capacity building in the various aspects of the project, from planning up to drilling and resource classification state, which we are in now. Then we have 20 geologists have been trained on the geochronology project we are engaged. We are currently doing with John Beacher Center, University of Cotton University, Australia. We have about 15 geoscientists trained on the management and use of a spectroradiometer, and 20 geoscientists trained on airborne data and radiometric data to obtain, to update our geological map and structural map. I will talk about that. Then our support staff are also not included in capacity building because they provide support for us, and then we need to train them so that they understand what we are doing and then give us the necessary support. So over 160 admin and finance staff were trained at the Center for Management Development in the last 1 year. Also, towards certification and ISO certification and accreditation of the lab, our staff have been prepared or are being prepared. Part of the training they have undertaken is quality management system by standard organization of Nigeria and some of their experts. Also, we have essentially, what we want to do is to effectively ensure what we call quality assurance and quality documentation in the calibration and testing of our laboratories. Then, of course, we are working towards certification of our personnel on the equipment we have just procured, the one we intend to procure, and the existing one we have in the system. NGSA products. Most of us are aware of some of the products, but let me just elucidate briefly on some of them. We have mineral resources map of Nigeria, which has just been, we are updating the lineament, we are updating that. We have the geological and mineral map of the 36 state plus FCT, that one is available. We have a state and zonal geological and mineral maps on 1,500,000. Then geological map that is on 1,250,000 and 100,000 mineral commodity map. We have publications, bulletins, occasional papers, records, zonal and mineral resources maps. Then data, we have mineral occurrences database for the whole country and FCT. We have core load database, which mostly has been digitized in preparation for the Geodata Center, which will be available on request to people in digital format. We have also geophysical data, EM data, radiometric data, and gravity data. Products we have just published in the last 1 year, 1 in 100,000 maps, 2019 to date. We have Isanlu, Guso, Karanamoda, Osi, and Patigi. Then in 2020, we have boundary reconciliation because we have some of our maps which we call field maps, and we are in the process of digitizing them. And some of these have been, we are looking at boundary reconciliation so that we'll be able to produce what we call 1 in 250,000 bulletins on this. Then we published some bulletins which the Honorable Minister on his visit to NGSA launched. Don't forget that at the last NMGS also in March in Enugu, we did some publication. We launched some of our publication. But recently, when the minister on a visit to NGSA, these bulletins were commissioned or presented to the public. That is Bulletin 54 on Godly Erosion of southeastern Nigeria, then Bulletin 55 on Geology of Urban Massif. Now the evolution, that's one of our products. You can see the evolution of the geological and mineral maps of Nigeria from 1957 up to what we call the ongoing review, which some of the stakeholders will be invited soon to come and be part to peer review and also be part of the launching of this publication, the maps itself. This is the new map or the face, the way the new map will look. Don't ignore the way it is crowded because we put so many things together just for the purpose of this presentation and for peer review. It has been sent out to some distinguished members of this society to review, but we are still working on it. So this is the way the new geological map of Nigeria will look. I'm sure hopefully before the end of the year, this will be ready. the structural map, you can see. Now, the essence of this review or update is this, that we have between 1994 and to date, a lot of 1 in 100,000 publications have been made, that is in terms of maps. So we need to include the information on that. And don't forget, the last structural map does not include interpretation of the airborne that was carried out subsequently after that. So we are integrating that. Then we have done what we call mineral resources upgrade for the country. And such information is also what we are including in the new geological lineament and mineral map of the country. Index map, that's 1 in 1,000 series. You can see the progression between 2010 and 2019. You can see the differences in them. It shows that we are progressing. The mapping is ongoing. On this map, this is the status, the published map in 2019. Now, you can see what we have on this map is the green ones are what we call the field maps, which we are currently updating and vectorizing. And we hope to do boundary adjustments so that in the shortest time possible, we find out that we have done significant justice to 1 in 100,000 series, because most of these all these green ones have been mapped. It's just what we need to do is to carry out boundary adjustment, then we check areas that we have issues with. Geochemical mapping. As a result of paucity of funding the geochemical mapping, some of you will be aware that we have not been able to progress on that. That is mapping on the scale of that is cell scale. So what we did now is to try and foster or continue the process, take it down to 1 in 100,000. Recently, we continued the sampling. Then we completed the sampling density, increased the density of the share sheet, and we want to take on Makwa cell. And with Makwa cell, we now start. We will take a 1 in 100,000 Jeba sheet during the dry season, maybe starting from end of October. This is in essence to generate geochemical data and continue the process so that the project will not, the geochemical mapping project will not be an abandoned project itself. With that, I've completed the discussion on what NGSA has been doing, that is internally. Now, I'm going to take on the NIME project. Now, Nigeria is where we are today because of the choices we made yesterday. And the choices we make today will make us to be what we are. The essence of this is this. At a point in time, we were looking at accelerated mapping. At the end of the day, because of paucity of funding, we could not complete the mapping of the country on 1 in 100,000 scale. The NIMAMA project came up again. The investors that we sought for, we could not really get them in the way they should be to take up the mining sector to the next level. So a country or a nation decide the best course of action that will enable them to achieve their goal and enter the NIME project. The NIME project was designed and is being implemented by Nigerian Geological Survey. And it is a bold, conscious effort by federal government to carry out in integrated exploration to de-risk the mining sector and provide the geoscience data for a variety of commodities, including minerals of the future. This is to enable key into the emerging fourth industrial revolution. The project itself took advantage of the known existing metallurgy we have in the country, that is the schist belt, the pegmatite belt, the Benue trough. The Benue trough, that is the schist belt, is essentially for gold, lead, zinc, vein tablet, zinc, and then nickel, chromium, cobalt, and the platinum group elements. The pegmatite belts, as we all know, they are scattered all over the country, and we are looking at rare metals like tin, lithium, tin, niobium, and so on and so forth. Then the Benue trough, we are looking at base metal, lead, zinc, and silver. Then also in the Benue trough, we are looking at the varieties, and then iron ore, that's lot A5. The objectives of the project to generate geoscience information in greenfield and brownfield setting through integrated exploration methodologies. And it is aimed at spurring the desired investment into the sector to generate foreign exchange, substitute for import, develop local industry, and generate employment. Essentially, it is to create wealth along the mineral value chain. The project is designed to take 1 calendar year in months. And currently, we are around the 9th and 10th month, which involves drilling and analysis. I'm sure some of us will be aware that some of these companies have been drilling across the country and wondering what the companies are doing. The project insertion timeline is shown on the slide. The slide you can see now. And essentially, the project started with the advert for federal tenders in March, and it went through invitation of contractor submission for qualification. Then the award of contract took place in August 2018. The flag up, sorry, there's a mistake, took place in September 2017. Scope of activity. This is just a summary of our scope of activity. It starts with spectral geology, interpretation, remote sensing, processing of airborne data, integration of the 2D set evaluation, which involves geological mapping of selected targets, geochemical mapping, analysis also is involved, then ground follow-up of identified targets, then drilling analysis, this way we are, and integration of data sets. Then one beauty of this project is that we emphasize that the companies and the consultants must include or involve what we call internationally recognized competent persons. The essence of this is, one, to build the capacity of our people, and also to ensure that the data set we are generating meets international standard, so that when we are presenting it to the international community, at least it will be acceptable to them. Now, the deliverables of the project, in short, will be, one, the identified targets and permissible tracts of mineralization must be clearly shown. Geological constraint controlling mineralization or deposit model, report detailing what carried out, methodology, assumption, limitation, and findings will be submitted to the federal government of Nigeria through Nigerian Geological Survey. Then a peer-reviewed report. Don't forget that each stage of the report submission, we carry out what we call a stakeholder meeting, whereby we invite some of our colleagues in the academia, stakeholders in the industry, so as for them to come and review what they are being done and make contribution. At the end of the project, a competent person's report of each evaluated target is expected. Ideally, in the project, we are not expecting them because of the funding. If you look at what we are saying, Sekilola, I'm being informed that spent almost about $20 million on drilling on their target. We are using about $30 million for the whole country. So what it means is that identification of these targets and taking a portion of some of the targets, maybe 1, 2, 3, and then establishing the resource size where it is possible. This, what you can see is a stakeholders meeting that took place some time ago. We are hoping as soon as the drilling is completed, we have a stakeholders meeting. Outcomes. On this slide, you can see lot A1 that is within the schist belt. We have some early results from one of the gold beds where we have the gold beds which a trend was identified. What we call this trend is a linear demagnetized zone on airborne magnetics. And what this is showing is that this trend, there are two of them, one on the east and one on the west. The western one is the one that has potential from soil sampling at 50-50 meter interval over a length of 7 kilometers. And this area is about 500 meter wide. Drilling in this area shows significant intersection of gold-bearing veins with grades between 1 and 7 grams per ton. And of course, we have this gold intersection on meter level. That's sometimes up to 3 meters, 4 meters. And in addition to this, we have silver and tungsten mineralization, reaching up to 16.6 gram per ton and 1,914 gram per ton. The nickel chromium, that is where we have the ultramafites mineralization trending the same that extends to about 10 kilometers, and sampling has been done here. Here we have nickel and cobalt concentration reaching up to 0.4, 0.5 ppm, which is significant because in some countries, at least mining is being done on 0.3, 0.4. Occasionally, we have even targets having up to 0.7 gram and 0.7 ppm. Drilling is still ongoing. We started with 100 meters spacing, but when we were getting very good results in the initial analysis, we've now narrowed it down to 50 meters. Now to produce a JOC compliant report, especially for vein mineralization, we need something in the range of about 25 meters interval. So currently the drilling is being, infill is being done to make sure that we meet this standard and then carry out resource evaluation for an area of about 500 meters by 200 meters along the stretch of the 7 kilometers. Now you have the statistics here. You see the total drilling reverse circulation is currently is in the BOK is about 10,000, but they have gone beyond 6,000 and all the statistics there. You can also see the lab analysis, about 32,000 samples have been analyzed. What this means is that if we have ICP-based analytical equipment in Kaduna, these samples will have increased the IGR of a Nigerian Geological Survey. Now on the screen now you can see the linear trend here, then the drilling and the percentages we have. But what is most interesting, which I want to share with you, is what you have here. You can see the mineralized vein systems on the surface, and this area is just about 500 by 200 or so. And you can see the values we are getting. Let me take this one, for example. On this hole, you can see gold concentration, 5 meters, averaging 1.7 grams per ton, including 1 meter of 5.07 grams per ton. Silver content, you can see it here, which has 1 meter also of about 6.7 grams per ton. Now, interestingly, look at this wolframite, that's tungsten. You have over 2,102 grams per ton. So these are some of the deliverables we have on the NIME project. Also on the gold side, somewhere in Zamfara State where you have ultramafites, you can see some investigation soil sampling at 50 meters spacing was carried out, and you have anomalies of chromium, you have cobalt, you have palladium, you have nickel. And drilling was carried out, and you have some significant findings. Now, we have completed reverse circulation drilling, and ground geophysics suggests that what we have here is some of the mineralization, and there's a plug source material, so which is at something like 200 meters. So we intend to do core drilling in this area very soon. This shows some of the selected targets where some investigation and soil samplings have been done on the NIME project. Lot A2, rare metal, lithium, tantalum, niobium, and tin. In this area, you agree with me that reverse circulation drilling cannot work for pegmatite mineralization. So we are embarking on core drilling, and that's why it's slow. On the project, I think the BOK suggests they should do about 3,000 or 4,000 meters, and so far this is what they have done. Analysis, they're still expecting some results. But what is most interesting is that I will come to that. You can see the distribution of location of pegmatites, and then the prioritization of the target areas. The red ones are those that are considered for investigation. You can see Udeki, Lafiaji, Ado-Ekiti, and Apomu. On these maps, you can see the mapped out pegmatites and then the concentration of lithium oxide found there. In Udegi, currently drilling is ongoing there, and the preliminary analysis is showing we have up to 7.13 lithium oxide content in some of the pegmatite, 4%. Then in Wambakura area, you see we have 1.93 up to 1.93 up to 2.5. Then in Ado-Ekiti area, which is around the Ijero area, we have up to 4.4, 3.88, and 3.67. In Lafiaji area, that's around Gugu Forest area, you can see we have lithium oxide content reaching 2.3%, 8.8%, and so on and so forth. We attempted classifying the pegmatite mineralization, especially the hard rock lithium mineralization we have in Nigeria, and treat them with the world standard. And we are beginning to see that the Nigerian pegmatite lies within this area, and we have the potential. By the time we do the drilling, we should be able to project this way, maybe somewhere here. If the size is big enough to sustain, or is big enough to meet the standards here. That is on this grade and tonnage plot. These are some of the drilling and investigation being carried out. The lead zinc area also, that's along the Benue Trough. You can see over 1,000 samples have been analyzed, XR, that's PXRF have been done. And then you can see drilling has also been done, and some targets, quite a number of targets have been identified. 5 new ones have been selected out of the 21 that have been identified. And concentration between 22 up to 22% lead is being found over a strike length that is yet to be determined. Then we have some challenges of water incursion in the Benue Trough. So the drilling has been suspended, but very soon they will resume. These are some of the findings in target 3. You can see from soil analysis, this sampling is done 50-50 meters, and then projection analysis. And these areas are areas we focus on drilling. But these areas is also interesting in the sense that the 5 new targets are quite encouraging. Now, on this, you see the result of drilling, and this Tunga area, you can see, though in some area, this close to where some people are doing some underground mining, you can see the concentration of the lead and zinc at depth, which is about, it's quite significant. It's about 85 meters. On barite also, some investigation, 17 new ore bodies. The challenge we have with barite is that the feeder pipes which we target are very thin. So what it means is that you have an intrusion of the vein, then maybe into a shear zone spreading. That's why what they are talking essentially for now is what is on the surface. But the main pipe supplying the fluid that led to the mineralization, we have not been able to pick a big one so far. These are some of the location and the drilling carried out, the load of some of the projects. The iron ore project also have identified about 11 prospective targets with grade above 30% according to what is required in the industry. And after detailed investigation, 7 areas were recommended for ground geophysical survey. And this area are listed here, Adugo, Ajovo, Enele, Kakun, Tajimi, and so on and so forth. Analysis indicated that these 2, Tajimi and Nasco, are the most prospective with this concentration. In Tajimi, you can see the strike length is about 1.4 kilometers, while the breadth is about 400 meters of both magnetite and hematite. And the concentration, you can see iron oxide is about 58%, with 40% silica. In Nasco area, it's about 5 kilometers by 80 meters, which means it's narrower, and you have up to 44%. A total of 62 holes have been drilled in this area, and these are the project statistics for the iron ore lot A5 and some of the maps. On the NIME project, we have also what we call capacity building, because we want to build the capacity of our staff to be able to carry out investigation and report according to international standard. Not only NGSA staff, we have some staff of the ministry that have been involved on this project to build their capacity. Also, part of the project deliverables is the procurement by the companies of micromine software to ensure that we trained our people to be able to manage the data sets that have been generated on the project. Because we expect that at the end of the project, some of the raw data sets will be handed over to Nigerian Geological Survey, where stakeholders and our cousins in the academic can obtain data for their various researches. So the Micromind software has been procured, the training started, but unfortunately for the COVID pandemic, the trainers have to quickly rush back to their country. And what we expect is this, that as soon as issues will be resolved on this pandemic, or we find an alternative, which we are looking into, probably doing a webinar to continue the training if it will sustain the practical exposure we expected. Also, it is not just about capacity building. Some of the project vehicles will turn back to Nigerian Geological Survey to boost our mobility. As you will agree with me, geoscience data generation is about mobility to be able to move around. The outlook of NGSA for 2020 to 2025. NGSA has an existing roadmap, and we have been looking at this roadmap in terms of have we been able to achieve what we did. And the scorecard is that significantly we have been able to achieve up to 70%. The remaining 30% are being reviewed, and then we are adjusting even the 70% to make sure that we prepare for the future, especially in these hard times that we find ourselves, and to make the system very relevant to the industry and the necessary stakeholder. So we look forward to build this skill development, then reorganization of our system, which will involve computerization of our system and processes. The Geodata Center is one of them. Enhance geological and geochemical mapping and evaluation of mineral resources. Because if you look at the start of time for the NIME project up to where they get it, NGSA provided the volume of data that was done from the information assessment that was carried out from 2006 to date. So we provided this information, and it gave the companies the leverage to start the project on their own. We also look forward to completion of NIME project and evaluation of the data generated. Also, we have completed phase 1 of evaluation of phosphate projects in Sokoto. We want to continue along that line and see what we can generate, and possibly model the basin with deeper holes now that we have rigs of our own. We will also accelerate the geological mapping, which I have elucidated earlier on, and geochemical mapping, which we have started. Reviving the consultancy service to increase revenue generation is very important for us. It's one of the things we have to show government that we can do what we are trained to do and what in line with our mandate. We also want to revive the monthly mineral clinic so that miners, small-scale miners can come there with the 100 XRF. We are procuring for them to make sure that they will be able to provide them information. Geochronology and age dating of Nigerian rocks and minerals is to continue. Currently, we have generated about 30 or 35 samples. We have sent 10. So we intend to continue, and other areas that need information, we continue. Also, the bitumen project, the bitumen block, we want to de-risk that segment of the industry so that investors can quickly come and take advantage of information we have available, and also model the basin. We started last year with, in fact, that's what we use in commissioning one of the rigs, or 2 of the rigs. We drilled 4 holes there. 3 of them were able to hit the bitumen bed itself at maybe about 60 meters or so. Then publication, bulletins, occasional papers, and records. Then we want to review the minerals and industry. And at this point in time, maybe early next year, we call on stakeholders to come and provide us information and chart a way forward on what we are to do on the review of minerals and industry. In conjunction with the main diverters, the World Bank and the Ministry, through Natural Resources Funding, we want to procure more equipment so as to make sure that we commence the certification of our lab in Kaduna. Conclusion. From all I have said today, you can see that it has never been so good. The federal government has invested so much in developing or generation of geoscience data for diversification of Nigerian economy. It is also evident that NGSA is footing the bill and we are meeting up in line with our mandate to provide the necessary information for the mining sector or develop the mining sector. The NIMEP is a flagship effort of the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development in line with the diversification effort of government and aim at rapidly generating exploration data. This effort is intended to de-risk areas around the project site and provide data capable of attracting the desired investment into the sector. Results obtained from some of these projects suggest that Nigeria is rich and we have new areas with anomalous concentration, which if confirmed to be sizable has potentials of becoming project. Promotional efforts on the NIME project has put the nation on the spotlight and all eyes on Nigeria. Investors have been clamoring, asking for information. Also, if you take a look at the number of competent persons that have been coming in and out of Nigeria in recent time, you will agree with me that the NIME project has been able to sensitize people on the potentials we have in the country because we are beginning to generate subsurface data and also create credible information. In addition to that, within the commencement of a NIME project, you will also agree with me, a lot of drilling equipment such as rigs has come into Nigeria. I have on record between 6 and 7 new rigs has come into the country, which shows that something is happening in the country. Thank you very much. We have what we call NGSA website and also the NIMEP website where you can have a glimpse of what is happening in the country. Thank you very much. Mr. President. Mr. President?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present at this forum.
This is, I think I'll hand you over to what we most sincerely appreciate, that wonderful presentation. And I'll hand you over to Dr. Matthew, who is now anchor the rest of the program. Meanwhile, we really appreciate the wonderful presentation, insight of what is happening in NGSA. I believe that if the ministry were an academic ministry, would have been awarded the professorial status after this presentation. Over to you, Dr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I must appreciate the presenter of today. Dr. Garba has done justice to the topic today, and we have quite a number of questions, about 12 in number, and a comment. And some of the questions I've tried to summarize them. One is about the analytical equipments in Kaduna. One of the attendees, one of the participants is asking, how do Nigerian universities benefit from these analytical equipments? And another question that is in line with that, a participant asked that why is it that students still send their samples to South Africa if you claim to have an analytics laboratory in Kaduna? And he would like to know what, although during the course of the presentation, you touched on that, maybe the person missed it. So he's asking, what types of equipment do you have for soil and rock analysis? I think I should reel out the questions so that Dr. Garba will know them and answer the questions together. Or you want us to do the question one after the other?
I think just reel out the questions.
Okay. So
just ask the questions. Just take the ones you can.
Okay, sir. Another participant asked that do we have exploration data that can be bought by mining companies? And it's asking how bankable are these data if they exist at all. Since we know that exploration is very expensive and is key to mining investments. Then another participant is asking that where can one carry out analysis of a tantalized sample from Oyo State? Then another participant is asking that it's heartwarming to know that there are research equipments in Kaduna. He's asking how do you procure those equipments and how do you fund all those centers? Then another participant is asking what is being done to de-risk the mining sector. The passive high risk has been a major factor militating against private sector funding stroke participation in mining. Saying that the general view is that the activities in the sector is not structured and or adequately regulated. What's being done to address or change the narratives so that the sector could attract more organized players? Then there is another question about how Ngsa has to build the capacity and improve the knowledge of geologists, particularly from the South-South, since you don't have equipped center in the South-South. Then there is a comment about training and retraining of staff, and the participant is asking what step is the agency taking to make sure that the equipment are properly put to use and not just for keep. That there are some equipments that needed the personnel to man. Then a general question is that the participants, are they sure of getting this presentation after the whole program? Then the student is asking, can Ngsa allow CUS, especially on water, or generally, whether you take students on CUS? I think for now, that's all. If any other question comes in, we'll still ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyway, I think I will class the questions into two groups, or three groups. That is one that has to do with the facilities in Kaduna and the analysis. Then the others on capacity building in the sector and also in Ngsa, that is in the South-South. Then also about the sector, that is the risk in the sector. Thank you very much. Acquisition of the equipment is funded by Ngsa and by the ministry. Also, we have what we call support from the World Bank. Some of us may be aware that we have what we call Indaba project. That is a World Bank loan taken by federal government to support the mining industry. And in the support, they provide all the necessary, sometimes depending on your submission and then the needs assessment carried out on the institutions within the mining sector. They provide the support in acquisition of some of this equipment, even to some extent vehicles for some of our projects. So the funding may come from our budget, natural resources funding, and also maybe from the World Bank. In terms of a generation of geoscience data for companies to use, you will agree with me that the NIME project is a bold step by government to generate such information. Such funding, ideally, is not supposed to come from government. In normal clients, exploration, data generation is a private sector affair. But unfortunately for us in the country, we don't have such leverage, or we don't have such situation. We have not developed up to that stage. You also agree with me that the early stage of exploration processes is the most difficult part of it. That is stage one, whereby you are doing exploration or targeting. Funding hardly comes into that such a use to such. So we are faced with a dilemma. There are two things. It's either the government does it or we forget about it. So at a point, government felt, look, the best thing is we have to kickstart it. And such funding cannot come or could not come to Nigerian Geological Survey in one tranche. What we are doing is most based on some of the equipment. In answering one of the questions by somebody, we buy it from our budget. So we buy one today, maybe next year, 2 years, we buy another one. So we continue to apply. But now that we have support from different sectors to diversify the Nigerian economy, and that's why I said it has never happened in this way that concerted effort is being focused on developing the sector. What do you need to generate this data? We provide. You need vehicles, you need this, and we are trying to trudge on and we are making input. There is a question on, we have bought a lot of sophisticated equipment. Thank you very much for that question, because it's one of the things I make a priority. When we procure some of these equipment, I insist, even I have such issues with Mindava, that look, we have what we call up to 3 years service agreement with the manufacturers. With that, at least we'll be able to use the equipment, we'll be able to maintain, train our personnel, and then be able to at least know how to manage it for the next coming years. Data. Any information you generate, as long as the investor is okay by it and is ready to take it, is bankable. But what we are saying is that the NIME project, or what Ngsa is doing as part of its project, is not an end on its own, it's a means to an end. We have what we call depth of information that could attract investment into the sector. So what do? We have to generate it the best way. And quite a lot of investors that come into the country from inquiries we have is that, do you have subsurface data? Do you have this? Do you have that? Some even from foreign countries, they come to Ngsa and ask us information up to target level, which I believe in some of these countries they don't have. Ngsa is not to provide information up to target level. But again, the NIME project by design is to identify these permissible tracks, do some work. If, for instance, from the one I've shown you, the bottom area which we are looking at, if it is good and prolific, we can project, because they have the same characteristic and what we do, they may not be the same. We can project. If we do the resource estimate for that 500 by 200 meters, then we can project. After all, soil sampling and identification of areas that have anomalous values have been identified along that track of mineralization. I think for those who are asking questions on South-South, well, we are coming to South-South because Ngsa, as a matter of policy, we have what we call a National Center for Marine Geosciences there, and it's a specialized center of excellence to carry out marine geosciences. You give us some little time, we are coming to that. We have a program for the South-South, whereby we make sure that we adequately equip the National Marine Geoscience Center and also build the capacity of the people. I've asked some of my officers, like the directors, to select some of the indigent students from those areas and others who are interested in doing marine geosciences, so that we build up their capacity, send them for masters. If possible, sponsor them for masters. Thank you. I think I've addressed some of the questions that have been asked.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garba. There are more questions. One participant is asking whether Ngsa will partner with women in mining to build the technical capacities of our professional members done in Ethiopia. That's one question. Then another question borders on maintenance of the equipment A participant is asking whether you will train Nigerians to maintain those equipments, and how will you be able to retain them, and how will you be able to source spare parts for these sophisticated equipments on a regular basis. Another participant is asking about your synergy with Mines Inspectorate so as to be able to document mined out volume from the mines in order to update the reserve estimates. There are also more questions from the university. Are there any research ongoing in your sector that academicians can key into? Is there any hope to build the gaps to bridge the gap between lecturers and your agency? Then a participant is asking, what is the ministry doing to engage Nigerian local content and participation and partnership? Then on geochronology and age dating, that this should be prioritized to mineralization so that the source of fluid of different mineralization will be determined affirmatively. Then another participant is asking, do we have, it's about synergy again. That question has been asked by somebody that about the synergy between NGSA and Mines Inspectorate. Then another one is about exploration data acquisition should be government due to the risk and cost implication. That should be done by government due to the risk and cost implications. In many climes, government does it and sell the data. So it's a comment by a person that government should be encouraged to embark on exploration data and sell to the public. Another question is, what is NGSA doing in the area of increasing symbiotic collaboration research universities such that the academics who are responsible for producing the geoscience manpower for NGSA are integrated into the manpower development of the agency, so that academics can also take part in the agency's training programs? I think somebody else have asked that question before, the collaboration between the agency and the academia. Thank you, Dr. Garba.
Thank you so much. Let me take the first question, one of the questions on synergy between NGSA and lecturers. On the geochronology, we have one of Nigeria's foremost geochronologists as part of leader, the resource person on the project. Secondly, you see, NGSA is very, very open to collaboration with any development partners that is interested in generation of geoscience data and moving the mining sector in Nigeria forward. However, we have some constraints. Constraints in the sense that the funding may not be there, so you have to make do with what we have. We will encourage people to look for funding so that all the equipment we have available, all the analytical facilities we have available, we can waiver some of the aspects and then we use it to develop geoscience information. I had the opportunity to speak to some people that, look, the tech fund which you have for the university is not meant for research for the university. We can design projects. I've been in discussion with some lecturers on this, so that we make a proposition to TED Fund to source for funding for credible research in aspect of geoscience. And I'm sure by the time we meet the DG of Executive Secretary of TED Fund, the funds will be provided for that. For women in mining, NGSA is not, our NGSA is also gender sensitive. We have some of our directors as members of women in mining, and they are doing well. In fact, the geochronology project, my visit outside the country shows that geochronology is mostly done by women. And that's why of the 20 staff we trained on that aspect, I will tell you 15 are women, not less than 15 are women or ladies. So NGSA is gender friendly. I've answered the questions on the maintenance of equipment that we are training our personnel. At a point in time, just before the COVID, has never been maintained since it was bought more than 10 years ago. We have to fly officials of the manufacturer into Nigeria to put it in order and recalibrate it. And that is so that we make sure in NGSA, what we do is we make sure that professional excellence is our watchword. Our rigs, to build the capacity of our rigs, of our drillers, we brought in trainers from South Africa because we had some challenges. At a point, they had difficulties making 10 meters in a day, maybe 5 meters, sometimes 8 meters, and also coupled with the challenges of drilling. We have to bring in experts who understand drilling and the dynamics of fluid in drilling in different geological settings. And in a day, they are making close to 30 meters, which is a plus for NGSA. And we hope in the nearest future, by the time we build the capacities of the people, all of you will commend Nigerian Geological Survey and believe Nigerian Geological Survey has come of age after 100 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Garba. There are more questions, and as they keep coming, I'll keep pushing them to you. There is a reframe of question on capacity building.
About
capacity building.
Yes.
A participant is asking that as done under the leadership of Dr. Shahad in Ethiopia, that is GESI, that do you have such plans and programs within NGSA?
Capacity building done where?
Done in Ethiopia by one under the leadership of Dr. Shahad.
No, it's in Tanzania.
It's in
Shadad.
Tanzania, okay. The person said in
Shadad.
Okay. He said in Ethiopia, I think there is a particular capacity building done there that the participant is asking, do you have plans and programs such as that in NGSA?
No. You cannot equate Nigerian Geological Survey to AMGC in Tanzania.
Okay.
The funding sources is different. What they have as their funding, by the time you look at it in dollars and put it on our budget, you are nowhere. But then, NGSA, when I talk of capacity building, we are talking of capacity building for our staff. In AMGC, the capacity they are there to train people. They send invitation for us to send our staff to come and train there. NGSA is not yet, but we are hoping that by the time we become what we intend to be, according to our vision and mission statement, we will invite all of you to come and train in NGSA.
All right, thank you. I think the participant will be following you. There is one also which, of course, majority of us knows that it exists. One participant is asking that one common problem for institutions and investors during field work is the stress of getting geological map of our desired environment. He's asking, do your agency keep custody of geological map and solid mineral map of Nigeria? They would like to hear from you, sir.
Well, what I want to assure you, I think the questioner may not be conversant with some of the things we do in NGSA. I can assure you that even if you go on our website, some of these maps we are talking like mineral map and what have you is there. I just told you in my presentation that the carbonate map of the country, with even the resource size, because what some of the cement companies we have in the country provided us some data. They are there. So you can go on our website, check the IMAP on carbonate, you will see that we have PDF map, geological map of Nigeria, structural map of Nigeria, which we are updating, and mineral map of Nigeria. Then two, those we have, you see, if you make inquiries, those we have for free, we can give for free. Those we sell, we sell. But the challenge we have with most of these investors is this. They expect NGSA to provide information, okay, on target scale. Maybe you are talking of 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 20,000 of their own particular area. I think that is asking for too much at this moment in the country.
Thank you. Another question, Dr. Garba. A participant is asking, what is NGSA doing concerning geotechnical investigation, which is being taken over by civil engineer, because it's supposed to always be done by geoscientists? I don't know if you have answer to that.
Geophysical?
No, geotechnical. Geotechnical.
Okay, geotechnical.
Yes.
You see, NGSA, we have different departments, and every year we carry out investigation depending on your department. I can assure you that NGSA has carried out some geotechnical investigation on some states. I remember some states or state capital. I remember it has been done in Oshu, it has been done in Oyo, it has been done in Edo State. So it is a continuous process. And if you come to our headquarters, I can show you, or even if you inquire, if the publication has been published, we can give you. If you are a research student, you come, we can share some of the information with you, as long as it is not classified. If it is classified or it is for sale, then we encourage you to buy. But then, everything about geological survey is not about money and money and money. What we are doing is just to balance between generating revenue as demanded by government and also provide geoscience information for the necessary people that need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Garba. Somebody is asking whether the XRF equipment in Kaduna is working and ready and functional, please. Then there is another question about geoscience data that is being treated as highly confidential, even when generated by government agency. Is this not impending research in the country? That's the confidentiality of the geosciences data. Then the issue of whether government should embark on the exploration and sell data to investors. Somebody is saying that question has not been answered.
The Geodata Center have some level of securities inbuilt in it. Just as we have now, there are some data that we have that are classified. There are some data we can give for free. There are some data you have to buy. There are some data. So the issue is that NGSA is so organized that all these things, all these questions you are asking, we have check and balances to manage all of them. And sorry, I forgot your last question, sir.
Oh, the last question is about the XRF
equipment in Kaduna.
Equipment in Kaduna, yes. Whether it's working and...
Yes. The XRF equipment, all the XRF equipment, they are functionally effectively in Kaduna. We just recalibrated and repaired them and make sure service them. Let's put it that way.
Well, at this moment, the questions could still come in, and I think we'll push it to the presenter. We thank you so much, Dr. Garba, for this very good, of course, this is an area where you are, and we are quite appreciative of all the information you have read out to us today. So I will now hand over to Mr. President. Time is not our friend. For the closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Matthew Oyedoku, for anchoring that last part of this webinar series. Just for information, you will see poll on the webinar. Please be kind enough to take a minute to be able to now make your views and then carry out your own assessment. If you look at the entire thing, this is series 3, the NMGS virtual technical webinar presentation. Just a recap, the first one was the Nigerian mining industry reviewing current perspectives and facing the inevitable post-COVID-19 realities. That was done, like I said, by Professor Ngsa. Now we can call it webinar series 1. Then the second one was the Nigerian Mining Cadastral Office, pivot in the realization of the goals of economic diversification through the mining sector. That was done by my humble self. And the third one, which is the current one now, is like we are already just rounding up, is advancing the diversification of the Nigerian economy through geoscience data, the role of the Nigerian Geological Survey, which was professorially handled by our Director General of the Geological Survey, none other but Dr. Abdurazak Garba. The essence of all this, I can see the excitement. The webinar series, they are all technical presentations, and we have quite a number of them still coming up. And the essence is to be able to now excite the industry, to be able to now keep our members, active, and be able to now have, you can ask questions. The Director General is there, the past president, Ngsa, is there, myself, we are there, and quite a number of other people are there. And we intend to still be able to now come up with more webinars, technical, virtual series. So please keep online, and we'll be able to now keep our members active. On that note, I want to most sincerely thank Dr. Garba for that wonderful presentation. You can see that questions are still coming, and I'm sure as I'm even talking now, questions are still coming. The essence is for us to be able to now close up the gap between the society and then the agencies. And I'm sure that many of us have not been able to now actually know that, so this is what is really happening. That awareness, closing the gap between the professional bodies and government agencies to be able to be updated, not being in the dark, and you're free to ask many questions. So on that note, Dr. Garba, I want to thank you most sincerely for that wonderful presentation. And I want to thank our senior fellows who are listening. I also want to thank the members in council, all participants and stakeholders. There are other people who will have opportunities. We are going to make more presentations, and we'll be able to now educate and then exchange knowledge properly. But most importantly, on this note, we want to thank the Honorable Minister, Architect Olamilekan Adebute, and the Minister of State, Dr. Uchechuku Oga, and then just for information, we have a new permanent secretary in the person of Dr. Akinlade, and we welcome her to the industry, we welcome her, and then we believe that at the end of the day, we are going to partner together to move the sector forward. On that note, thank you very much for your time. We pray and hope that this was quite educative. And like already we are aware, presentations are going to be made available. They are recorded, and then members will be able to now have access to it, and to now be able to now add more knowledge for us. Thank you very much, participants, and we look forward to the next webinar series. which within a short while we'll be able to now give you details. But at the end of the day, we'll be able to now cut across all sectors of the mineral economy, so that we page the entire happenings here and there. Thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful day. Good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation.
Very, very wonderful.